I'm too far to sky. Hermes ash for the time my ash. Bitch so pretty, look better than Cassie. Puffin' on Zooters, she calling me daddy. Walking on shit.
Hey everyone, so I recently moved to Calgary, Canada from Toronto, Canada, and I wanted to make this video to sort of just give some insight into what that experience has been like. Now, I'm someone that's much of a digital nomad. For the past couple years, I have traveled and lived in different countries for certain lengths of time, very varied from a week to 6 months. And I've always been someone that loves to just explore new communities, cultures, people, the food. I thrive off of travel. And it's been kind of a problem because now I feel like I'm moving into a period of my life where I sort of want to settle down. I think I am getting a little burnt out from being constantly on the move. And so I wanted to find somewhere in Canada that I feel like would feel better to me in terms of having that sense of structure and community and just nature. So that is gonna lead to my first point, which is why I even moved out to Calgary. I am still open to exploring other cities within Canada. So definitely mention in the comments below if you prefer a certain city in Canada over another, and you've really been to a lot of cities, scanning the West Coast to the East Coast. I actually haven't traveled much within Canada, and so that's been part of this like experiment, traveling to different cities and kind of getting a vibe and a feel of like where I'd sort of want to settle down and call home outside of Toronto. So obviously my family's in Toronto, which is great. I'll always sort of have a reason to go back, my friends, etc. But I want somewhere that is more affordable. And so that leads to my first point of why I came to Calgary. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why everyone comes to Calgary or Alberta, any city within Alberta, is that it's much more affordable. And one of my goals is to purchase a home or like an investment property. Definitely not to just purchase a home that I can just sit in and have to pay the mortgage. It's definitely from an investment perspective, but I want an area or somewhere where it is less of a barrier to entry so that, yeah, I can start to sort of build up a investment portfolio through real estate. And I know Nova Scotia, the East Coast, there are some areas that are much cheaper, and I'm really grateful that I have the benefit to have a lifestyle that's, you know, whether I am working for someone or working for myself in my business, it's very remote. So like I'm not forced to have to live or have an investment property in just one area for the rest of my life. So yeah, Calgary definitely is much more affordable. Even where I'm renting right now, this beautiful condo that I was able to find. This is pretty much the apartment, that's the sauna. And you come outside and that's the hot tub. And there's like a nice little like fire pit, outdoor space seating area. And then it's like overlooking this little lake, which is really cool. Right now I'm paying $1,500, and technically it's a 2-bedroom and 2-washroom unit, but I just struck a really good deal because the person that lent this to me was actually an Airbnb that I stayed at while staying here the first couple weeks when I got here, and her and her husband just bought a new home, and they had this place that they were renting that they wanted to sublet. So there was like 2 months left on the lease. Like not much people want to rent a place for just 2 months and then having to find something again. But I was like, this space looks amazing. I get the whole unit to myself. So both bedrooms, both washrooms for just $1,500, which is amazing. Obviously not here for long, but yeah, also actually the amenities are really cool too. It comes with the sauna, the steam room. So I was like sold. The moment I saw a sauna, I was like, no more questions, like we're good. Like the space is clean, aesthetic wise. This is the type of environments I like to be in. This is the type of environments I feel like I can thrive in. Now, compared to Toronto, I would have been paying easily $2,500, maybe $3,000, maybe even more for a unit like this. Obviously it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I normally would obviously look for like a bachelor pad or like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit. When I was living in Toronto back in 2021, that's like 3 years ago, it was during the pandemic, I paid $1,100, and that was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit as well. But I had a roommate, and so didn't have the space to myself, although she was hardly there. So I technically did also have the space to myself. Honestly, guys, I get really lucky when it comes to finding rental spaces. Like, I'm really just taking it in right now. I find really good deals, or the universe just really makes things work out for me. I was paying $1,100 for that unit, and that was 3 years ago. So that same unit in Toronto 3 years ago definitely would not be going for $1,100 right now with a roommate. It probably would be like in the $1,500, $1,600, maybe even $2,000. I would probably even say that. Compared to Calgary, mind you, this is a different situation, but I would say like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, you could find something for around $1,200, and that's just like having your own space, etc. If you're gonna have like a roommate, I think you can get away with paying even like $1,100. I was looking for an apartment the other day because I do have to find a new space within like 2 weeks, so kind of crunch time, but I've seen a lot of great places so far. One of them, she was renting her space for like $1,100. I'd obviously have to share and live with her. That's exactly the same situation that I was in with the condo I was staying at in Toronto. So, and that was 3 years ago. So to fast forward to 3 years now, you can see that Calgary is still relatively much more affordable and cheaper than what I would be paying if I was still in Toronto. So that's one part of it. I'm someone that just loves to maximize my savings. I'd rather have a lot of the extra money go towards like investing. Yeah, just securing my financial future. So if I don't need to be in Toronto and paying these extravagant prices, why am I forcing myself to live there? When I can get the same amenities, I can get the same experiences, access to food, access to healthcare, whatever, in another city and province. So that leads us to our second point, which is I feel like Calgary has great systems set up and facilities and amenities for a city. The Central Library is like a 2-minute walk for me, and I love that place so much. So many free resources and stuff you can get from there. I feel like the transit system is not as backed up as the one in Toronto. Definitely I can get from like A to B within a much shorter time. There's less congestion. I feel like it's so easy to navigate the LRT. Like, you either go from east to west or you're going north to south. It's literally just 2 lines you have to worry about. So I feel like it's just been very seamless, like getting around. I love that the downtown core, if you're taking the LRT, it's free. You can just hop on and hop off for like that one street, which I think is really cool and something that even like maybe they could do, I don't know, in Toronto. But anyways, yeah, I just feel like they were very intentional about like how they designed and built and engineered and like just built the city in terms of getting around and transportation, which I really love. And yeah, I'm like a big systems person. Structure is really important to me. I just feel like getting around is really nice. Then my next reason why I moved out to Calgary is the nature aspect. I went to LA last year. I was obsessed with the energy there, the vibes, and the views. LA is a place where I feel like it's sort of center to experiencing different types of geographies and nature. For example, when I was in LA, I can go to the beach. I can drive like 15, 30 minutes, an hour to like a couple beaches. I could see as I'm even taking the bus or the subway, or if I'm driving, and you can see mountains like on the west side of the map. And I like the idea that like I could go to a mountain and go hiking and have that experience. And then they also have deserts and like, you know, Joshua Tree and some of these other locations where like, I just feel like you have like a varied experience. You can probably have 3 or 4 of those experiences within the same day. I love the views. I love that. It just opened my eyes to like, why am I limiting myself? Like, Toronto is literally just like a lake, which is beautiful. It's pretty. But like, I realized as I get older, like I'm a hill and valley girl. Like I love to see like varied ranges, mountain ranges, the water. I still am someone that really loves the water and stuff too. That's maybe not something I get in Calgary, but it's just a different vibe. I really love nature, want to get out in nature more, and I feel like the west coast of Canada has a lot more of that. Vancouver, I'm pretty sure, is especially breathtaking, but of course, when it comes to price and affordability, that's not really where I want to be, and I don't feel like I want to be in a place right now where I have to stretch myself just because I choose to live in Vancouver. So I'm like, well, what's closest to Vancouver? What's the closest to like an LA, or like having that experience that I had in LA but in Canada? And so I feel like Vancouver, yes, but that's out of financially, like that's just like not where I want to spend most of my money in terms of like rent or a mortgage or whatever in property. Like I want my money to go elsewhere. So Calgary just seemed more fitting. It's much of a closer drive versus some of the other cities, maybe in Alberta. And I'm close to Banff. So Banff is a popular tourist destination in Alberta, and it's literally just like a 2-hour drive from Calgary. So I went a couple weekends ago with my boyfriend, and we had such an amazing time. I think this is literally the first time I've ever seen mountains in my own country. Like, it's crazy. I'm like 29 years old, and I'm finally seeing more of my own country, and it is beautiful. I'm like, Canada is so flippin' beautiful. I'm so sad that it's taking me this long to like see more of it. So that was a big reason. And you know, if I have a weekend where I have a bit more time, I can easily just rent a car, drive to Banff, get some of that nature, and come back. And that's something that I really knew that I would be able to get by living in Calgary. The fact that I can do that, and I'm also paying less rent than living in a place like Toronto, where I don't have that variety and I don't have much ability to have such a varied experience in terms of being outdoors and being in nature and like having these views and the scenery. I'm actually gonna turn my camera around for a second and show you guys like my view, because every morning that I wake up, I literally see mountains. Like today, it's not as clear, but you can kind of see the like outline or the shadow of the mountains. But some days you literally wake up and you can see like the snow on the tip of the mountain. Like that's how clear it is. That's how clear the sky is, how clear my view is. And it's so beautiful. And it's just like amazing that I was able to manifest this, because this is exactly what I had on my vision board, wanting to move to Calgary. Like I wanted a view of the Calgary Tower. I wanted a view of the mountains. And this is actually happening right now. I literally have to pinch myself. If this is your first time on my channel, or you've never really watched any of my other videos, definitely check out my manifestation videos. I have 2, I believe, that I've created, and it just goes to show you the power of putting your mind to something. Like, I knew that I can come to Calgary and I'll figure it out when I get here, but the fact that I'm literally having the same exact view that I had on my vision board. I literally had a picture of the Saddle Dome, which is like a stadium where they have like hockey games for the Calgary Flames. And I had a picture of the Calgary Tower and like an apartment, like a very nice, aesthetically pleasing apartment like that looks like this. Looking at the Calgary Tower, literally I can see the Calgary Tower and the Saddle Dome from my condo building, like from this unit. And it's like a wraparound unit with like I'm gonna show you. Okay, right? So this is like looking outside my window. I back up a bit. This is kind of like it's almost like a 90-degree kind of view, right? So you can see here, that is the Calgary Tower. And if I'm looking south, that over there is the Saddle Dome. So I had that on my vision board, and I also had that on my vision board. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily looking for an apartment that had both those 2 views. It was just on my vision board, but it just so happened I have a unit that can see both. Like, anyways, I'm just like, Morgan did it again within a short period of time, right? I knew eventually I would want something like this, but I didn't know it would happen so soon. And it just so happened that meeting the Airbnb host, she had this space, just like this domino effect of things just really working in my favor here in this city. And honestly, I feel like it's a much different energy than I've expected being in Toronto. Third reason, which is gonna get me into this third reason of why I moved to Calgary, which is wanting a city that was more in alignment with my energetic blueprint. So when I say energetic blueprint, part of that is just going where the vibes are, what feels in alignment to me, what feels good. And like I said, having a city where like it's closer to nature for me makes me feel good mentally, emotionally. It's good for my overall well-being because that is what I need to thrive. And so I knew already the vibes of that were gonna be good. And it was also gonna be affordable. So like mentally, emotionally as well, like not stressing as much about finances and just being able to like put more of my money towards the areas that are gonna help build more wealth. And also, I'm someone that's really into astrology, human design. I need to make a video on this and exploring how you can learn more about improving your overall well-being and building wealth based on your astrological charts and your human design charts, and just looking at other esoteric tools, self-actualization tools, personal development tools out there to help you get a better sense of who you are and how to go after things in life based on your strengths and your personality, right? So over the years, it's been a journey over the past 5 years, learning more about myself through astrology and human design and Carl Jung archetypes and, the INFJ, like those personality types. I'm someone who's really big into those things, and it's giving me so much insight into the environments in which I could thrive. So specifically with astrology, there's an aspect or a subtopic of astrology called locational astrology or travel astrology. And it's becoming very popular, and people are using their birth chart to detect where in the world they would be best suited to be in. And also where in the world could you move to manifest something into your life? Because there are areas on the map in the world that will enhance your ability to work towards something or to attract something. So there can be an area that would be really good for finding romance or finding a partner or for dating. And there could be another area that's really good for calling in money. So I've been looking into that a lot, and Calgary actually my sun line runs through Calgary. And why this is really important is that my sun is a Capricorn. Sun expresses like what drives you in life, like what gives you life. Like it's the sun. When you think about the sun symbolizes like strength, vitality, joy. Everything that we do is like, most of the things that we do is during the day, right? Like that's when we get stuff done. That is when we're most active. At night, the moon, that's when we're like resting, we're more reflective, we're going inwards. So the sun is like, that outward expression of you, the best expression of you and how you navigate life, what drives you. So as a Capricorn, I'm driven by like career, ambitions, like that's what feels really good to me. And so that is exalted in Calgary more so than other cities because my sun line runs through here. So I feel really, really good being in Calgary right now. It runs north to south, really straight. So it also runs through Edmonton, and which is also another city that I've explored. And I have other lines running through some of these cities that slightly change the dynamic. And why that's important is that in Toronto, the line that I have running through Toronto is Saturn. Now, it's not too bad because Saturn, like Capricorn's ruling planet is Saturn. So I'm already ruled by that planet, and Saturn is, a lot of people don't really like Saturn because it's a very like fatherly, strict energy, discipline, and structure. And some people don't really like that. Like my boyfriend, for example, he is not someone that like likes to set goals and like, he's more flexible. He's Pisces, he's a water sign. So he's a lot more like go with the flow. I'm like systems. I'm so like, sometimes it can be bad because like I'm so rigid. It's like, I don't like to move away from like not knowing what's gonna happen. I like to plan. I like to have like set goals, objectives, etc. Like very CEO energy, which is like the energy that Capricorns really give off and that they have, right? We're very like, if you want someone to plan something for you, find a Capricorn, right? And so like in Toronto, having the Saturn line, Saturn, the planet itself, symbolizes structure, discipline, which can be good. Sometimes you need that in your life. And most people, even though they need that in their life, they don't want to because they're so go with the flow and like flexible. If you're under the Saturn line, you're not gonna have a lot of that, right? It's like morning routine, night routine, which is like things that naturally come to me, I'm really good at. I have those systems, I have those foundations, which in order to thrive in life, you need to have that. It's also a planet that works towards long-term goals. So a lot of people, they want immediate results, but under the Saturn, you're not gonna see immediate results, but if you work hard, you're gonna see some great results, but down the road. And you're gonna see even better results than what you would see immediately in the short run. So a lot of people don't wanna have to wait that long to see the benefits of being under the planet Saturn. And that's kind of like how I felt throughout my whole life. Like I have amazing things that happen in my life, but it takes a really long time to get there and to see it. And I have to grind really, 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 really hard because Saturn is all about hard work. And so I kind of wanted to move away from that planet. And in Toronto, it's just Saturn. I have no other planets to kind of help balance that out. In Calgary now, I have my sun line. So I feel like the sun sort of makes me feel a bit more at home. And then I do also have my Saturn running through it, and I also have Mars. So some people may argue those are some harder planets, but I feel like having the sun can make it easier for me. Like there's this element of like, it still does feel a bit challenging being here. And like I have witnessed a lot of delays, which comes with Saturn, you know, a lot of delays. You have to work really hard. I'm still seeing some of those elements, but I have more energy, I have more vitality. I have the ability, I'm more willing to work through them than when I was willing to do it in Toronto. And I think things just come a bit easier to me. Like I still work hard, but it's not as hard, if that makes sense. So still playing out with the energy. Edmonton has beautiful energy. So I think eventually I'd want to move to Edmonton or buy investment property in Edmonton, because Edmonton, I have my Venus. So Venus is, you know, the planet that symbolizes love and pleasure and beauty. So I feel like it's gonna be a lot more relaxing energy in Edmonton, which being in Edmonton, I already experienced that. Like the Airbnb I stayed at, one of the ladies there was so kind. She had game nights and we would do game nights, and like, if I needed to get somewhere, she would drop me there. Like I just felt really cared for. And it's sort of like that element of Venus, right? Like feeling cared for, relaxing, pleasure, like playing games and stuff. That's something that helped me to like relax. I'm not as stressed. Jupiter, the planet of Jupiter, is also in Edmonton. Jupiter is the planet of good luck and fortune. So if you're working towards calling in money, you want to see success in like a business venture or whatever, Saturn would be really good too. If you're willing to do a lot of hard work, like you will find success and it will be long lasting. But if you're able to pair like Saturn and Jupiter together, or even work with just Jupiter alone, Jupiter will have like, you know, like a lot of opportunities coming your way, travel, yeah, money, fortune, good luck. Like it's just having good luck on your side. So obviously every planet has its pros and its cons. So like I don't want to talk about planets as if they're bad or good. It just depends on like what you're working towards and what you want. So where I am right now, like I'm trying to build up my business again. I took a gap year back in 2022. So I'm in a place right now where like I'm trying to build my business back up again, you know, having this YouTube channel, trying to get to my 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this right now, please subscribe. And yeah, you know, just getting back out there, creating new offerings around building wealth and creating that life that you love, improving our overall well-being, living our best life, like all of those things encompassing. I feel really good about building the business back out again in a way that feels authentic to me and doing it differently this time. So it's really good to be in this energy in Calgary because Mars is very taking action, getting things done, physical health, you know? And so I feel like I have a lot of energy and drive here. My sun, Saturn, all the things I explained already. Then in Edmonton, it's slightly different energy, but my sun is still there. So I still have the energy and vitality, but it's a lot more nurturing. It's a lot more like relaxing. It's a lot more ease, which is something that I inevitably want to call in. So Edmonton's also going to be a great place, an exciting place to be. But right now my focus is just on Calgary. So I highly suggest, like, if you are someone that feels like your city is not really it anymore, there's something that's off about it. I am going to say like Toronto too. I think coming to Calgary, it's helping me to create a different chapter in my life. And this kind of comes to like my last point is just sometimes you want something new. You just want a fresh start. With Toronto, I feel like I had a lot of challenges in all areas of my life. Mainly my childhood, you know, I had like a really traumatic, unstable childhood and like upbringing. And even just like there's still relationships that I'm trying to tend to with my parents, and a sense of people pleasing and control. My dating relationships, ooh. I've had some really bad relationships. It's so ironic that my best relationship yet and the healthiest is with someone who's not from Toronto, who's from New York. And I just haven't had great experiences with Toronto men. There have been, but majority of them have been really bad. And so I just have a bad, like when it just comes to Toronto, like I have great memories, my friends, I have amazing friends, but when it comes to like my dating and relationships, a lot of trauma, any of the traumas that I've had in my life, any hard lessons that I've had in my life have all happened in Toronto. And so I feel like moving to a new city is kind of giving me that fresh start. Like it's a new environment, it's new people. I'm not bringing the same people with me that I had in Toronto here. My family, I can love them at a distance, you know what I mean? So it's like creating that sense of independence and also just immersing myself in a new environment that is going to allow me to thrive, that is going to allow me to make new decisions, better decisions, to show up differently than how I did before. And that is really, really important for me. Like my environment, anyone, I think, environment plays a large factor in your pursuit of success, whatever that looks like. So, you know, even being a Black woman and knowing that the Black collective and experience has been in poor neighborhoods, you know, going through a lot of poverty. And you can see like the difference between like living in a space like this versus living in a rundown apartment building where like windows are broken, light fixtures aren't working. Like that can have such a negative impact on someone's well-being, the way that they see themselves, the way that they relate to others, the way that they find motivation and seek motivation. It's hard to feel motivated when your environment is telling you the opposite, that you're not worthy of having some of the other things, that this is your life, this is the conditions in which you live in, this will always be the conditions in which you live in. And so, you know, I'm very fortunate. I came from like a pretty good home, a pretty decent environment and home. And so just wanting to recreate that for myself, that environment, the ultimate environment for me in which I know I'll be able to thrive. So yeah, that is pretty much my selling point for moving to Calgary at this point. I can't comment too much on like weather because I haven't experienced a Calgary winters yet, so that might be like another video update on like how I'm dealing with the weather out here compared to Toronto, how I feel about it. But I think that would just be the only thing to comment on that would be different. And yeah, like I'm still taking the time to like explore. I feel like, you know, just like any city, there's always events happening. There's all the amenities that I need. I can go to the mall, the grocery stores. Yeah, I have access to them, and you know, it's not like some small town where like I need a car to like get to everything. Everything's walkable. One thing I will say about downtown Calgary, actually, now that it's come to mind, is there's not as much food alternatives. You know, someone that has dietary restrictions or like someone who tries to eat very healthy and limit themselves from eating foods that are highly inflammatory. So that would be like dairy and gluten. I'm shocked that there's not as much like vegan restaurants or like, yeah, there's like hardly any in the downtown core. I know like in general, yes, there are options within Calgary, but when I'm talking about downtown, like where I live, not much options. There's like 5 minutes from me, like a faux spot if I'm feeling for like soup, and that has like, you know, rice noodles and stuff, so that could be gluten-free. It's already dairy-free. But other than that, like, I feel like everything's a bit of a further walk that I have to walk for. But nevertheless, that is really just something that I've kind of noticed. I just wish there were more vegan restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, gluten-free restaurants that cater to people that are gluten-free and that aren't like expensive, you know, like they don't have to be like those formal sit-down spots, like even just to like run in and grab something healthy to eat. You know, even like a freshie or something, like just having some more of those options, especially where I live, like the location that I've chosen to live, I don't see much of that. So that's something that I would say to work on in Calgary. Definitely if you are like an entrepreneur or someone that like is in the hospitality industry, please create a vegan restaurant. Like I feel like we need so much more. I feel like Toronto would have one on like every other corner at this point by now, and maybe not, I don't know, but I just wish Calgary had like a lot more options. Like I don't have to like hop on a bus to get to, or like take an Uber to like treat myself to like some vegan desserts or like have a really good vegan meal. So thank you, please consider that. And yeah, I think that's the end of my video. I'm gonna create another video on what I eat in a day as a wealth coach, so definitely stay tuned for that vlog. And I hope to see you again on my channel. If you really enjoyed this video and you wanna see more videos like it, please like and subscribe. And check out some of my other videos. I have a bunch of coaching videos. I have a bunch of vlogs. So it kind of is up to you what you're into, what you kind of want to, you know, explore more of, what more you want to get out of me. This is like some of the more fun stuff, the vlogs. This is some more of the serious stuff and getting your life together, getting your shit together, getting your finances, your business, all that stuff. So yeah, pick your choosing, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.